Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I will be taking you solo through a reaction to the news just a few hours ago that Steven Universe was renewed for a quote-unquote 4th and 5th season. I will be taking you through what it means, because it's kind of not obvious from the news announcement, what you need to know, when the show's coming back, and then my reaction to all of that. Just like a quick, 20 to 30 minute reaction podcast here about this big Steven Universe news, which is our primary coverage show here at Overly Animated, along with Miraculous Ladybug, and you can check us out at overlyanimated.com. This is one of my Dylan Discourse podcasts that I record driving to or from work, and so if you hear engines and stuff like that, it's the sounds of the cars around me and stuff, and this is not indicative of our overall audio quality here on the podcast. Again, overlyanimated.com. Check out our recent podcasts, including me and Justin casting a hypothetical season of Survivor Steven Universe and playing it out. It was pretty fun. So I think you can check that one out if you're a Steven Universe fan, even if you're not a fan of Survivor, like Justin and I are, but we tried to make it accessible. So let's get into this news. So, just of note, I don't have everything in front of me. Again, I'm in my car, so I don't have all the figures here, but I'm pretty sure I have a good handling of it, just from the brief mentions I've seen. This was announced on Entertainment Weekly. They had an exclusive that Steven Universe and Uncle Grandpa got renewed through Season 5. I'm going to ignore the Uncle Grandpa side of that. I don't particularly care about that show for this podcast or personally. So this was kind of surprising because we're on Season 2, and it's like, oh, Steven Universe got renewed through Season 5. That's great. That's going to be like infinite episodes, but no. So via Matt Burnett on Twitter, I believe that's his name, writer for the show, similar, we have a Legend of Korra type situation going on here with Cartoon Network. What seems to have happened is that Cartoon Network decided to change the length of the seasons for no apparent reason. So Season 1 of Steven Universe was 52 episodes. And again, I apologize if I don't have the figures right. That took us through Episode 1 through Jailbreak. Season 2 of Steven Universe is apparently already finished, and we didn't even know it. So that took us from, first episode after, whatever technically the first episode after Jailbreak was in the production order, and they aired Season 1 episodes in Season 2, and it's kind of complicated. I'm not exactly sure where the break is here or at the end of Season 2. I can tell you what I think it is. So it aired the first episode after Jailbreak until message received, or it could have been great. I think it could have been great was the second part. So basically, the Yellow Diamond episode was the finale probably for Season 2. I'm not sure if Log Date made the cut or not technically. Steven's birthday, production order-wise, apparently was after these two episodes, which would make it, there are two-part mid-season finale, which would make it part of Season 3. I believe that is true if you look on the Cartoon Network website, but I haven't researched it in that much in depth yet. So basically, we kind of are going to be beginning technically Season 3 here. Now, this is literally irrelevant for everything except when Cartoon Network talks about the show. So this is completely a Legend of Korra situation. Now with Korra, Nick considered books 1 and 2 of Korra to be Season 1 and books 3 and 4 of Korra to be Season 4. It seems like, again, via Matt Burnett on Twitter, that production is going to be considering what Cartoon Network believes Seasons 2 and 3 are of the show to be Season 2. And then Seasons 4 and 5 to be Season 3. So basically, what, unbeknownst to us, Steven Universe previously had not been renewed past our current season, which is the actual Season 2, technically Seasons 2 and 3. And so this announcement is good because it gives us an additional 52 episodes of Steven Universe, bringing the total to 150 something, right? I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So yeah, seasons season 1 of the show was... No, I don't know. I think that math's off. So let's work through this. Season 1 of the show was 52 episodes. Season 2 of the show is going to be 26, then 26, 26, 26. So, yeah, I think 150-something episodes. That's pretty awesome. So what this means is, from the vantage point we have, or we're at the end of Season 2, we're going to be getting an additional 52 plus 26, 78 episodes, right? So that's exactly how many episodes we've seen of the show, again, with the breaks maybe not being even. So we will be, at the very least, seeing double the amount of episodes that we have currently seen. So that's what that means. So this is good news. It's a little bit misleading, considering when you saw the headline, it's like, oh my god, 5 seasons of Steven Universe, that's like 250 episodes, the show's going to be on forever. But no, that's not what that means. It means that we'll be getting another full season beyond the one that we're in the middle of right now. So for all intents and purposes, Season 1 aired, we're in the middle of Season 2, and then we're getting it confirmed an additional Season 3. So that's basically it, and ignore Cartoon Network's dumb designations. Now, the other big piece of... I'll react to that in a second. All of it's very frustrating. The other big piece of news to come out of this Entertainment Weekly article is that we will be getting a Summer of Steven. I believe they say from June to August, which in the article it says Season 3 will continue / pick up or something in June for the Summer of Steven. So that's pretty far from now, kind of. I mean, I was kind of expecting... So, okay, let's first things first, before the reaction is, that's probably that means that's probably when the show is coming back. If you initially look at the article, it's like, that's when Season 3 is, so you might think, okay, so we're going to see half of a season in the meantime, but no. If Season 3 is what we are currently going to be starting, and we've maybe seen like 1 or 2 episodes if Steven's birthday and log date count is the beginning of Season 3, then we will be continuing Season 3 technically, right? When the Summer of Steven begins in June. So we've seen, again, that was the Cartoon Network discussion. So now, for all intents and purposes, what we care about, we will be seeing the second half of Season 2 starting in June. It's not confirmed, because they could air episodes before then. They could do a Steven Bomb in the middle. That's possible. I don't think it's likely, but it seems like from what they said, I don't think they would give dates for, like, the show is going to continue if they're going to air it again before that. So it seems like, okay, we're sitting here at the end of March, and the show's going to be coming back in June. So 2 full more months before the show potentially comes back. 6 months since the last episode aired, which would make a full, 8-9 months in which we had 1 week of new episodes for the show. So since too far in October, until Summer of Steven begins in June, we will have had 1 week of new episodes. Now, granted, there are 5 episodes in that week, but yeah, that's what we're looking at here. Pretty fun stuff. I apologize for the noisy whatever truck that is. So look, new episodes starting in June. We'll be continuing with Season 2. This is my current interpretation. If you want the most up-to-date interpretation, if that changes, you can go to the Overly Animated Tumblr, overlyanimatedpodcast.tumblr.com, which I'd probably be the best place, but I'm pretty sure this is right. So let's react to this. So the only things that we learned are, 1, we're getting a season on top of our current one, which we already thought was happening. So really, this means nothing to us, because we already thought, emotionally, it's not like, yay, more Steven Universe. I already thought this is what we were getting. We were just misled by Cartoon Network's previous announcements, and their current one. Number 2, Steven Universe will be coming back in June. This is much later than I thought. Not much later. I thought it would be end of April, May. There have been indications that foreign Cartoon Networks will be airing new episodes before June, so I'm a little bit skeptical of this. We already had leaks. We already know Cartoon Network UK has multiple episodes of the show sitting there on their servers. So are we really going to get to June without the episodes airing? In one form or another, whether they leak or whether they air somewhere else, it seems like there's a decent chance that the episodes will come out somewhere else before we see them in June in the US, which is awful. I don't know why they need to. Now, that being said, if what this means is that Cartoon Network will be airing one new Steven Universe episode a week from beginning of June to the end of August, I'm going to be very happy. That is exactly what I want them to do. That is a full 3 months, potentially, of weekly new episodes of Steven Universe. Yes, please. Let's do that. Cartoon Network seems to want to air this show in summer. They aired most of the new episodes last year in the summer, too, and then they just stopped once we got in the fall. I don't know why that is. That's obviously a strategic thing on their part. You can't even begin to speculate. Like, I have thoughts coming into my head about why they might think that. Like, maybe they think people will watch the show no matter what time they do it. They put it out in summer is a time typically when less people are watching TV, although that's not necessarily true for kids. But it might be even more true for kids because, they're at camp or I don't know. It's not worth it. So I think that you could safely assume that the Summer of Steven will feature weekly new episodes, because it's not like they're going to Steven bomb the whole summer, right? That would be too many episodes. It could mean that they do like one Steven bomb a month, which would basically mean the same thing, which is episode count-wise a similar number, but maybe like slightly more. But I don't know if they would just advertise it as the Summer of Steven if they're not going to just consistently air new episodes. So there's a few reactions to this. First of which is that I guess that my first reaction is I'm happy that we potentially are going to get weekly episodes. Personally, as this podcast is becoming more and more reliant on Steven Universe, as other of our shows are not on the air or ended, I really, really would prefer weekly things. We can do potentially multiple podcasts for each new Steven Universe episode. That's much better for the podcast. So that I'm happy about. Personally, I would prefer not to have Steven bombs. We're working full time now. Just like I assume they would be airing at a time which it would be hard for me to see live getting home every weekday. But if they're on Thursdays, that's like better. Once a week is better. I don't know. I just think the show is much more watchable if it's once a week. I've always found the Steven Bomb format to be like the least watchable format, and I've kind of ranted about this on previous podcasts, and I've written an article why Steven Bomb is the worst way to air Steven Universe. You can check that out at overlyanimated.com/blog. But it's I think that if you drop all the episodes of the season at once, then you can watch them at your own pace. If you do it weekly, that's like an easy pace to keep up with. But if you do the show, if you do one episode a week for a week, that's you have to make sure to be watching at that time every day for the week, and it's just a lot to take in. It's the worst of both worlds to me. And I say that we could get one in between now and June, but again, I don't think that really makes sense. So, happy that it's weekly. June is too far. I'm kind of disgusted that, like I said, 8 months of the show, 1 week of new episodes. This is nothing new. I've talked about this we're doing weekly Steven Universe roundtables every Friday, discussing a topic. I've talked about this, how, this is just not a good way to air your show. 1 week of new episodes in 8 weeks. I mean, there's other shows that also go 8 months without having a new episode, like a Game of Thrones, which only airs over 3 months in a year, but it consistently airs every week for 3 months, right? And other than that, they do promos leading up to it. They announce the date way ahead of time. This is not comparable. Although to a certain extent, if you're gonna start airing Steven Universe, if Cartoon Network wants to just make this a summerly show, they air weekly episodes June to August every year, and then maybe they do a bomb or a special around the holiday season. That's kind of consistent with what they've been doing, right? you start to kind of piece together a potential strategy they have, even if they refuse to tell us that that's what it is, and they like refuse to commit to it seemingly, because they did like bomb weekly in terms of like spring summer last year. But like I said, last summer we were getting weekly episodes, and that's the only time we've been getting weekly episodes in a while. So other than this but then this episode's kind of continued into like September, October. So maybe they're consolidating to a summer strategy, which like that seems like more official of a show. If it's like we have a time period during the year when the show airs, and then it's like, okay, we have an off season, and then the show starts airing weekly again. I think that's what they should be doing. Like, treat the show. This is kind of a dumb thing to say, but this is your Game of Thrones Cartoon Network. Like, I mean, maybe Adventure Time is, but like it's like your show that has a built-in fan base that's always going to watch, that you can like hype up, and it's going to get a lot of online press. Like you can give Entertainment Weekly an exclusive for this, and people are actually going to care about it. They paired it with Uncle Grandpa, and I didn't see commenting on that side of it. But like, if you this is the show you don't just throw random episodes to. So I'm potentially happy about a consolidation of a summer strategy for the show, and it's good because we're gonna see. I mean, if they air one new episode a week for 4 months, that's 12. It's not even that many, right? That's 12, 13, 14 episodes of. It's like we're not even gonna finish season 2. So I don't know like what their plan is to leave off for that, but maybe it's like. Then the following January, after sporadic new episodes, they'll bomb the end of the season, right? Maybe that's their plan, but who knows? So yeah, it's just a frustrating announcement. Let's talk about the other side of it, the seasons thing. This is just like the dumbest thing that now Cartoon Network has followed Nick and just not understanding that their season designation. Like, how do you not recognize that? When the crew does not care about your season designations, then you should not go by those season designations. Like, yes, you kind of need to have a technical announcement announcing that the show's been renewed through 5 seasons. Like, just if you're operating as a business, like with investors, then you need to like understand. You need to like put the information out there that technical 26 episode season wise it's been renewed to season 5, right? But when you give an entertainment site a release about that, like, you should then include the information, and we don't have to parse it together through crew tweets that this is like how this is like code for seasons 2 and 3. Like, you need to include that information, and not including it kind of tells me that you don't understand that people don't think about it like that, right? Like, the people who made the press release, if they had known that the crew did not think about the seasons like that, like Matt Burnett said, it doesn't affect how we make the show, is the reduction in the number of episodes per season. That, just seemingly unaware of how the fans think of it, how the crew thinks of it. It's like very tone deaf to fans. So is going 8 months before releasing, I guess 6 months towards this point, before releasing the date when the show's going to come back or something. I mean, there's a week of episodes in between, but gone 4 months now since the beginning of this January Steven bomb before announcing a return date, right? That's also very tone deaf. They didn't even announce a date, they just said June. It's always annoying when they do that, although networks sometimes do. It's better than nothing, much better than nothing. So, yeah, overall, this is just, like, continuing the realization that Cartoon Network's also awful. I knew Nick was awful because I'd followed Avatar and Korra for so long, and now I now know that Cartoon Network also just has no idea what they're doing, really. I guess that's the wrong phrasing, right? Like, how can I judge whether they... I would not release the episodes like they're doing. I might do it over the summer, right? Like, weekly over the summer. I think that's, like I said, I think that's potentially a good strategy. But they're the ones who know how to run their business. We do not. So commenting like Cartoon Network's dumb is not... And I apologize for saying that. What I can say is that they just have no idea how to communicate with fans. They seemingly have not done that at all. Like, kind of even a worse job than Nick did with Korra. Nick at least, like, tried to interact with the fandom. And I'm not saying Steven Universe has a similar fandom to Korra. I think that it's a smaller fandom. I think that's true. And maybe a less passionate one, although that might just be the fault of their own, because they haven't been... At the very least, Nick aired Korra weekly, and somewhat consistently, right? How do you expect fans to consolidate over a show if you're just throwing episodes around? So that's like kind of the main point. It's just mishandling fans of your show, not communicating with your fans. It's fine if you want to say, I don't care that the show is an online fan base, that's fine. But I think that you're obviously wrong given the current climate of many other networks embracing online fandoms, including Nickelodeon did with Korra, for the record. The whole Korra Nation thing was clearly an embracing of the online fandom. So, it just definitely seems like Cartoon Network's way behind on the times, like even compared to Nick, which is, to their credit, in some aspects. I talked about this on my last Dylan Discourse, how Nick, to a very small percentage, and they didn't actually follow through with it, but kind of had the potential to be one of the forward-thinking, technological wise, and like current fandom age networks on all of television. And they kind of led the charge with this coronation, and it seems like people within there wanted to like put the episodes online first, and like kind of radical stuff like that. And I don't know, I don't see anything like that from Cartoon Network, and this is just really backwards. And that being said, again, as I talked about this is devolving into the discussion I already had. That being said, Cartoon Network Steven Universe is Cartoon Network. It, produced there, given the green light, like it's there. The biggest thing is like, don't be upset with Cartoon Network. It's like, okay, they continuously are renewing the show. That's the most important thing, is that we're getting more episodes, the show's coming back. I mean, the scheduling thing is hard to ignore, but the show is getting more episodes. Doesn't seem like, it's not like they said for a 5th and final season or something, right? Like, it could be even more beyond that. Like, they seem to want to continue Adventure Time indefinitely. That's not a commentary on the quality of Adventure Time. I'm starting to catch up again, and I do think separate topic, I think Adventure Time still has it. So I think that show should continue. But, so, like, I don't think that anger with Cartoon Network is the way to go here. Like, overall, continually renewing the show, continually giving the creative team behind Steven Universe free reign, as it seems like they've expressed in the past. So, whatever. It's just frustrating, this 1 week of new episodes in 8 months thing. So yeah, gonna be starting to close out here. You can check what time I'm at in the recording. About the 20 to 30 minute range. So closing out here, excited for new episodes in June, probably weekly, the second half of season 2, and there will be a season 3. What this means for our coverage in the off-season, we're continuing weekly Steven Universe podcasts. This week we even had like 3, right? Like this one, our Survivor one, plus our exclusive. We're going to be talking about Rose and Rose Pearl on Friday, so that's going to be great. We're going to continue our coverage, and we're going to be very excited for when it comes back, and this gives me enough time to try to plan like very extensive coverage for when the show returns. So I'll consider how to utilize the podcast to the best of its abilities. Like, I think we're gonna have like a recap podcast. Like, we're gonna have like a live reactions right after podcast. I don't know if it'll be live, but and then maybe a separate more in-depth podcast right after. So that'll be good, and I'm very excited. Let me know what you think of this announcement, whether you agree with me, if you see that I am wrong on interpreting it, which I think is probably not going to happen, but if new information comes to light since 5 o'clock on Wednesday when I'm recording this, then you can leave a comment on YouTube, on the website at overlyanimated.com. You can send me an ask on Tumblr at dylanova.tumblr.com or overlyanimatedpodcast.tumblr.com. And let me know what you think of anything discussed here. like I said, will be your Friday to discuss Rose and Rose Pearl. Gonna be fun. Let us know if you have future topics for the Steven Universe roundtables. Someone has suggested that we should do one on the human citizens of Beach City, which seems like a great idea. The not oft discussed humans of Beach City. So, coming up on the Overly Animated podcast. As always, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Our ad-free podcast is brought to you by our patrons. Thank you very much to Shayna, Mitch, Cordell, Beatrice, Nate, Auntie, Jamie, Rachel, John, Ryan, Catherine. It's changed recently, so, and this is off the top of my head. A.K.A. Hayna, Fever Mitch, Core University, Beatrice Change, Buzz Lightyear, Nathan Fillion, Mailman, Rachel Rose, Johnny Bravo, Brian, and Cookie Cat. There you go. Thanks for listening. And overlyanimated.com. We will see you guys on Friday, potentially before for Archer coverage. We'll see about that for the next Steven Universe Roundtable. Bye.